America's team.
And it's all over! The Browns are winners today!
What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 135 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob. That's Nick. Casey down below us. We're brought to you as always by our friends over at Homage Apparel. I don't have my homage on. I got home like 10 minutes ago and we're just flying by the seat of our pants. So Nickel got the Make Them Know Your Name shirt from Denzel Ward. So go check out our friends over at Homage Apparel. I did not put a link in the bio below, but I will do it now. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Hey, there's something in that intro about hearing fired up Kevin Stefanski that just kind of gets me going, man. But I'll tell you what, I feel like it's been eternity, right? Because it hasn't been since Thursday that the Browns played. So it's been a little bit, but I'm still riding high off victory.
How could you not be? You know what I mean? Like, it's just sitting in that fabled catbird seat, already got the playoff spot locked up, kind of just watching all these other peasants fight for scraps. It's the future we were born to live in. Before we get started, though, I do want to give a rest in peace and shout out to Dr. Frank Ryan. He passed away today. He was the last quarterback to lead the Cleveland Browns to a championship in 1964. Number 13, if people could envision what that would be like to have a quarterback lead your team to a championship. That was the guy, man. All the credit always goes to Jim, but if you go back and especially that 64 team, man, Frank was super efficient. And in that championship game, man, he balled out. So rest in peace, and hope his family finds some peace in this time right now.
Yeah, it feels like everything's coming together for the team of destiny this year, right? Like at this point, like everything's coming together. Let's go get this dub. Like it feels like this episode's really, really fun, and I'll bring on our guest here in just a second, who's was so kind to join us for this. But we are doing the Browns regular season award show today. We have 8 awards to give out. You know what? Fuck it. Quota. Anyway, we're going to bring in our good friend, Dog Pound Daily's Mac the Buffalo. What's up, Mac? What's going on, man?
Playoffs, baby.
Ooh.
Playoffs.
Oh,
I'm ready.
Yes, sir.
I'm ready. And you know what's crazy about this team? Every single year, there's that one team that sneaks in at the last second, and everybody's like, you know what? They kind of luck their way into it. This Browns team is not that team. They're built so well under GM Andrew Berry that when these injuries happened, there were guys able to step up and come through. And of course, some of these games are tight. That's the NFL, but they found ways to win. And I'm just so ecstatic and I'm ready.
You're giving me goosebumps. You're giving me goosebumps. I'm like, let's go. Let's run through some walls. Like, yeah. So okay. So I started to intro the show, and I should probably do that, shouldn't I? We're gonna do the Browns regular season awards. Max so kind to join us, so we'll go around around the corner, and we'll do the. We got 8 of them. Really cool. We got some funny ones in there too. Casey threw in some really good ones. He had some good award names, and we get to do this before the final game of the season because that's where we are, and that's sweet. Like I'm still like, pinch me, is it real? Like I was at work a little bit this evening, and a buddy of mine, he's a New York Giants fan, and he was just like, he goes, man, Flacco's got that dad energy, and he's just out there throwing them dad juices around, just like having a good time, and just like, I don't know what he's going to do next, but he's probably going to fall asleep and then throw a couple more tutters. Like, that's just what we're doing. He was falling asleep, and the funniest thing ever was Flacco starts falling asleep. I look over at my dad, and he's going, and I was like, yeah, there we go.
There it is.
I was like, all right, here we go. We've got everybody falling asleep. So, yeah, man, do we have anything? Does anybody want to say anything before we do the awards? Is there anything else did we hit it? Yeah.
I think so.
Good. Casey? All right, good. All right. So we will start. I'll start. We'll go around. We'll start with Nick and Casey and then Mac, and I'll go last on this first one. I have them in a particular order only because it's the order I wrote them down. So we'll start the big we'll start with the biggest award, the award everybody comes to. I love hold on, we got a comment over here. It's just that's right. Yeah. And
Playoffs.
and what's funny is everybody who read that comment read it in Jim Mora's voice. They like you already said it. Like I can see his face. So we'll start with the team MVP. That I think is where we start. I will make the caveat that we did a separate offensive MVP and defensive MVP at the end of the award show. I put it on there. I did two different players than what I did for the team MVP. If you guys carried them over, that's fine too. I don't care. Yeah. But I just wanted to caveat that we will go and highlight some specific guys as well. So Nick, I'll start with you, man. What do you got team MVP for 2023?
Oh, my MVP is the guy that we got for a 7th round pick. It's Dustin Hopkins. Kicking his back in Cleveland, kicking is sexy in Cleveland. I mean, I don't know the updated stats, but before he got hurt, he was leading the NFL in field goals made and leading the NFL in 50-yard plus field goals made. And I think I can think back to last year how the Browns lost so many close games and kicking played a significant part in that. And just it's like you think about games like Baltimore and Chicago and I had a third one in my brain. I don't right now, but I've seen Dustin Hopkins kick so many field goals.
Chargers.
Thank you. Yeah, well, that was kind of the opposite way.
Oh, I thought that's what we were doing. I wasn't listening. Sorry.
Fair enough. Either way, that point proven all the more is that special teams give you such an edge. And Dustin Hopkins has been everything that you could have asked for and more out of a 7th round pick. The Browns are not here sitting with their feet up for the final week of the season without Dustin Hopkins this year. That's my MVP.
I actually, by the way, I lied. Apparently I've been wearing an Ahmed shirt all day.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Also learned today that Adam Rank knows who Nick is.
Okay. Well,
Adam Rank was on with our friend Yvette. Yeah. And there was some reference to some of your tweets, and his reaction was as though he knew who you were.
He came before the Browns. Just a quick before the Browns played Chicago. I reminisced on when Justin Fields had won that passing yard. And just like the demolition of Myles Garrett setting the sack record. And I put that out there, and Adam Rank commented under it. And I was like, wow, this is just like real Adam Rank. Okay. That was kind of cool. That
is pretty cool. I had a different experience with a player, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. Casey, Mac, I'll tell you later. Casey, go ahead with team MVP.
Yeah, this is interesting, man. Like, because when you pose the question, it's like my head went a couple different areas. Mm-hmm. And I kept coming back to a name, and it's not statistically gaudy, and it's not just a position of great significance. But for me, the team MVP is David Njoku.
Okay.
And you lose Nick Chubb week 2, and we know what Nick Chubb means to this team. For me, that's what David filled in, was the heart. He's the heart of this team. He filled in that glue. You know what I mean? He's the guy that embodies everything we're doing out here. Just the workman-like approach he takes to his game. And as of late, he is kind of, you could definitely put him in that MVP as far as his performance, since Joe's been here. But all year, man, he's been that guy that shows up, lunch pail. He's the heart of this team now. He's leading guys in huddles. He's who they rally around, you know what I mean? And you got to feel good for him, you know what I mean? His progression as a player, his evolution. And he's got to this point, a couple of years ago, we didn't know if he wanted to be here. And now he's like, he is here. He is Cleveland now. And this is good enough for me, man. He gets my team MVP for the regular season.
I made a really big note about David Njoku in the season opener, that the season opener, the team huddle right before the game started, was led by David Njoku week 1. And I don't think that's insignificant. And then what we've seen play out since then makes sense. Mac, what do you
got? So this one is probably going to throw everybody for a loop, but to me, you look at this team, you look at where they're at right now, and you look at this win streak that they've been on, and they would not be there without Joe Flacco. Now, I understand in terms of an MVP, the guy's only played 5 games, But just looking at it across the board, it's hard to not say that he's the most valuable player, well, especially on offense. He's 4-1 as a starter. In the 11 games that they played without him, they were averaging 181 yards, 9 TDs, 13 interceptions. With Joe, it's over 300, 13 TDs, and he has had 4 straight 300-yard games. That has never happened in the history of the franchise, ever.
That's crazy.
With Kosar, with Sipe, with the little run that Baker had, with Deshaun being here. And what's even crazier is, because there's a lot of times quarterbacks get caught up in he has a lot of help. He's got a good system. And it's not that Kevin doesn't have a good system, because the marriage right there is perfect.
Yep.
But since Joe Flacco has been here, the running game's gotten worse. And, when you look at this offense, it's really the only thing that concerns me. Since he's been here, there's only been 100-yard total rushing in terms of this team. There was 8 with these other quarterbacks. So Joe Flacco is kind of, I don't want to say he's doing it by himself, because I don't want to take, credit away from, the craziness that Amari Cooper's been and the yak monster that David Njoku is. But Joe Flacco is this offense. This offense would not run well with another quarterback. And it's really crazy, because this used to be a guy that we used to just despise. I mean, I said he looked like Frankenstein. I remember when he would come marching into Cleveland, in that stone wall face, that he would have. And it was just like, you didn't have anything to hate on, but you just couldn't like him, because he played, in purple and black, and he would just beat the ever living crap out of your team. But now he's doing that in Cleveland in a Browns uniform, and I can't get enough of it. He is my team MVP.
I bought a Joe Flacco t-shirt. It's not here yet, but let's be clear. I did buy one. So
mine's in the mail.
There we go.
There
we go.
I really want a 15 jersey. I'm not gonna lie. At this point, like with the because it really felt like the season was teetering on the brink, and then it's like Flacco comes in, like you say, Mac. He's 4-1. You're on a 3-game winning streak, not 4. No, I don't know how many games.
Winning streak.
4 game. Yeah, where does the time go? And that saved the season. That did.
Yeah, I mean, MC agrees. He says you're probably not in the playoffs without him.
No.
I don't know how I'm the only one to do this, but Myles Garrett's my team MVP. I'm very surprised that it came to just.
There's a lot of good answers.
Here's the thing: you guys had really good answers, and mine's just like, hey, he's the best player on the best defense. Like, that's really all I'm coming at you with. And it's like, I'm like, oh my God, maybe I should have thought about this a little bit more and put a little bit more thought into it. I feel like my pants are down. I just. Should I have not said my pants? They're not. I'll show you. Like, they're up. Oh wait, no. I gotta zip them up though. They were unzipped apparently. That was the thing. That was weird. Where were we? Anyway, yeah, man. Like, I just think the chain reaction that Myles Garrett has. Like, you finally got this situation where you've got players around him to where whatever he does has made everybody else's life easier, I think.
Yeah.
And like, one thing I said after they traded for Zadarius Smith, I did like a little short here on YouTube over the summer, and I said that I thought like the most beneficial player in the Zadarius Smith trade was Dalvin Tomlinson, because now it was Myles and Zadarius and Ogbo and all those guys, and it's just like when Myles does what Myles does, Zadarius has got 60 quarterback pressures, quietly has 60 quarterback pressures. And he's got what, like the 5.5 sacks or something, 6 sacks, something like that. I can't remember. I think it's 6. And you look at that and you're like, 6 sacks, whatever. Go watch Zadarius Smith. Go watch what's happening. Go watch Thursday again. Trevor Siemian was throwing that son of a gun in like 2 seconds flat. I mean, he would snap, he'd look and go, nothing, check down. Like, he was checked down.
He was not having. Well, Myles Garrett broke his ankle the last time they played, right? So it's kind of understandable that he wants nothing to do with Myles being anywhere around him.
I reminded my dad of that, and of course, my dad's a truck driver, so he normally doesn't get to see the primetime games. He was off last week, and so he was actually able to see the primetime games. I was like, "Yeah, Myles Garrett snapped his ankle on Monday Night Football. That was the Freddie year. It was they played the Jets on Monday Night Football, and he snapped his ankle. And then Trevor Siemian was back, and it's whatever. But Joe Flacco called the Jets after week 1. They said no.
No,
They
they were good.
They didn't
They're
want
good.
Could not
straight.
believe that. Could not believe that. If the GM doesn't get at least a stern talking to or demerit for that, I don't know what I mean. I understand that sometimes when you have a starting quarterback, I mean, especially somebody like Aaron Rodgers, who currently right now is under fire with Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
I don't know if you guys saw that tweet.
What is this?
He accused Jimmy Kimmel of being on that list on Pat McAfee. So now he's got beef with Jimmy Kimmel, and so I understand maybe they didn't want to bring in a veteran guy to like shake things up, but there's a lot of teams in the NFL that are scratching their head and they're like, hey, you know what, maybe we should have called Joe to be a backup, because he's currently right now the best backup quarterback of the 2023 season.
He's like playing the best. He is like, Mac, you mentioned his 4 straight 300-yard games being a team record. That's a personal record too. Joe Flacco has only ever thrown for 300 yards in 2 consecutive games. He's never even done it in 3, let alone 4 before this year.
That's
so
unbelievable.
This is literally like I wrote an article for Browns Wire on why I think he's the comeback player of the year. I mean, what I really hate about talking about the comeback player of the year conversation is you feel scummy if you don't say Damar Hamlin because of what happened to Damar Hamlin. But for all intents and purposes, the conversation I was having was Joe Flacco to me is the comeback player of the year. And I put in there, I'm like, Joe Flacco's not just like playing some of the best, like good football. This is some of the best football he's ever played in his entire career. Like he had the stretch in the playoffs, and maybe he had 300 in that. But I know in the regular season, he'd only had back-to-back. He'd never done 3 straight, and he's done 4. And he practically did it in 3.5 because he threw for 296 on the Jets in the first half last week.
Well,
so it's like,
if you would have asked anyone reasonable, can Joe Flacco carry an entire offense himself? To your point, Mac, I don't think anyone would have said yes at 38 years old, fresh off the couch. And literally up until this last game, the Jets, the Browns were averaging like 2 point whatever yards a carry. The whole offense is literally flat. It is script fairy tale unbelievable that a 38-year-old dude could just unretire and literally carry an entire offense. How is that a thing? I don't get what is this world?
I'm 33 and I'm upset that I've been up for 12 hours. So I don't even, and it's like, I'm like, shit, I got to get to bed, guys. Like, we got to wrap this up. Like we're not 38. We're whatever. So next, because I'm going to talk about Joe Flacco again later. Rookie of the year. We're gonna go with rookie of the year. So we'll go back around the horn again. I'll start with you, Nick.
Ooh, I had a tough time picking this, but I can't. Cam Mitchell's one of my favorites, man. I think about the way he came back from IR. And he's critical on a pass breakup with Trevor Lawrence to stop their comeback attempt. And then the next week they play Chicago, and he gets Justin Fields by the shoestrings to turn the ball over on 4th down, which ended up being the spark on the other side for the offense. And I've loved what I've seen from him. It's not a obviously, he probably would have had a far greater impact if he didn't go to IR. But you see those plays in big moments that really helped shift the tide and have led the Browns to this 4-game winning streak. I think he's shown that he's going to be largely impactful moving forward. And that's a dude, you picked him in the 5th round, and there he is making plays for you when you need it most. So Cam Mitchell, man, that's my rookie of the year.
Yeah, his play, he's the future slot. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with their trio ahead of him. So we'll see where it goes. What do you got, Casey?
I mean, it's big Thanos. I can't go any other. I'm gonna be like Baldy on here, man. I just gush every time I watch that kid play, and it's like found money. It was like you were broke, you checked your jacket, and there's $100 bill. You know what I mean? It's DeJuan Jones. You know, you lose an All-Pro right tackle, and you rush your fourth rounder out there and just did not miss a beat. The kid threw right into the deep end of the pool and just swam effortlessly. It sucks that he wasn't able to finish the season. That injury took it to him this year, and I do expect there to be a different approach going in the next year. I wouldn't mind seeing him come in 15, 20 pounds lighter, just to give his joints a little more reprieve. I mean, he's a massive individual, but you win the fourth round, man, and in my mind, you got a future All-Pro right tackle. You know, you got someone as long as Callahan's there and as long as he wants to be great, he will be great. You know, you can't find a better canvas. You know, it's just, and it does stink that he's not going to be here for this run because, boy, we could use him right now. You know, but dude, it's what a steal. What a steal in the fourth round, and that's my rookie of the year.
Mac, you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I mean, as much as I love Cam Mitchell and as much as the great impact plays that he's made, DeJuan Jones, without a doubt, is my rookie of the year. It's just kind of crazy of how far that he's come. There was a lot of speculation because a lot of people get caught up in the too big of size coming out of the draft. And I thought that kind of worked against him. So we picked him up in the fourth round. He came in. And if you guys remember, one of his first practices, I mean, he almost got a heat stroke. Yeah. He was working through his weight and, he shed some pounds. And to your point, Casey, he's probably going to shed some more in the off season. But when he came in, like you said, he was thrown into the fire. He comes in the first Bengals game where you have Sam Hubbard and you have Trey Hendrickson. Then you go next week and you have Alex Highsmith, who is, in my opinion, very underrated, and TJ Watt. And, TJ Watt had a very quiet game outside of that fumble recovery, but, that's not really on DeJuan there. Yeah. And then, he played very good against San Francisco, very good against Baltimore. And he was kind of stringing around these great performances. Of course, he had the knee injury. And here's what I thought was really crazy about him is that his toughness is off the charts because his knee injury prevented him from playing in that second Pittsburgh game. But what he said, no problem. If I'm not good enough to go for the run plays, let me at least come out and pass protection. So the times that he played, it was arguably the toughest assignment out of everyone on the offensive line because he would only come in on third down and passing situations. And who is he blocking? TJ Watt. And as much as I want to just sit here and slander TJ Watt just to upset Pittsburgh fans, TJ Watt is still a very good pass rusher, a very top, I would say at least top 10 pass rusher. So, for him to come in and, he's coming off the bench. So he's not exactly warm and, ready to go. So, yeah, he did manhandle TJ Watt. And TJ Watt got upset. And, there was that viral clip of, him trying to kind of, give him a little dirty play after the whistle. But, DeJuan Jones, to me, had one hell of a season. That was one of those injuries. Of course, you had the heartbreaking Nick Chubb and a few of the others. The Deshaun Watson very much shocked me, but it really hurt to see DeJuan Jones go down because he was on such a great stretch, and I cannot wait to see him suit up next year.
So I'll say that DeJuan was my choice, but because you guys have already said about everything you can say about him, I'll throw out an honorable mention to Ronnie Hickman. That's 2 straight years now that Andrew Berry has kept a UDFA safety. And one thing I want to say about Ronnie Hickman, I've said it on this show before, is that he's playing single high safety. He didn't do that in college. He was awful at it. He was a guy that you wanted playing as close to the line of scrimmage as possible. Like, you were like, hey, he's a box safety. He's a great box safety. I thought he was, he was better in coverage, I think, than some people, gave him credit for coming out. But like, they get him in there. He gets working with Jim Schwartz and everybody around him. And he's just like, whatever. I got nothing to lose. He's going out there for Juan Thornhill because we've lost like 12 safeties. And like he's out there and he's played 3 games. This was the most telling thing the biggest teller of it all was he still got significant reps, even though Juan Thornhill played almost every snap last week. Keep that in mind. Thornhill was back. I think Thornhill played 50 or 60 of the snaps. I think it was like 74 snaps or something. Hickman still played like 40 snaps last week against the Jets, which is very telling. It's like, no, he's not just playing because he had to. That's why he played at first, but he earned those roles. In 2 of the 3 games he started, PFF has given him over 90 on his grade. Yep. In 2 of the 3 games. As a UDFA safety who, I don't think he was active. He was active here and there, but I don't think he was active much until 3 weeks ago when he played. And I think he's played some great special teams and some stuff for him when they've used them. And it's just like, hey, man, if you're going to go around and just like pluck safeties off the UDFA and hit on them, sure.
Hey, round 4, you pick DeJuan Jones. Round 5, you pick Cam Mitchell. You undrafted free agent acquire Ronnie Hickman. I just said that some strange way. That's that. You know what? A lot of people were talking about like, oh, how are the Browns going to compete without those picks that they gave up for Deshaun Watson? That's how you do it, right? You spend a 7th round pick on a kicker who comes in and is the most reliable thing in the NFL this year. You draft these guys in the later rounds. You find Ronnie Hickman, and I knew everybody's pick was going to be DeJuan Jones. I wanted to spread the love to some of the guys. I just with Ronnie Hickman, man, it kind of felt like for a little bit, it was like the Browns, I think, had just turned the ball over, and it was like, are we going to let the Jets hang around here? And Ronnie Hickman's pick 6 like completely turned that momentum. I still think
Garrett Wilson blocked for him on that. I've seen people say it, and I'm like, okay. I saw it live, and I was like, whoa, hold up. I think Garrett just gave his old buddy, but just gave him a because like I think. All right, we'll reverse it. I'll start and then we'll go to you, Mac, and Casey and Nick on this next one. It's the most improved award.
I know.
And what I want to say is I know what someone else is going to say on this show. So I'm not going to say it. But he is my honorable mention. And I'll have something to say about him in a minute. But the only reason I go somewhere else is I'm actually going to go Jordan Elliott. And the only reason I'm going to go Jordan Elliott is because I was done with him. Like there's other players that have made significant strides from rookie year and things like that, and they've taken steps forward. Jordan Elliott was hot garbage for 3 years. Not a rookie year, not like a year where he had an injury and he was just not playable. And it wasn't like he wasn't trying. He wasn't out there loafing or anything like that. He wasn't JJ3 or anything, it's like I didn't have any kind of issues with that or anything of that nature. I just thought he was overmatched out there. And in comes Jim Schwartz, and he starts blowing smoke up my butt again, telling me that he loves Jordan Elliott. He loves Jordan Elliott. And I'm like, oh, here's another guy. Here's another guy walking in here trying to sell me on Jordan Elliott. And I ain't having it. Well, I'm having it now. And I've issued public apologies already to Jordan Elliott. I will issue another public apology to Jordan Elliott. I once said that you could not play dead. So I not once. I probably said that a lot. And now you've had massive moments. I can think of like 3 or 4 really big sacks. Like I think he's got 3. So I can think of like 1 or 2 like really big, impactful sacks, a couple run stops here and there, and just things that like I don't remember anything about Jordan Elliott's first 3 years. I can remember things he did this year, and because of that, because I was so down on him, I give it to Jordan Elliott.
Well, I mean, it was like one of those things where we all thought that Jordan Elliott was going to be phased out. Because the defensive end and defensive tackle room was being so revamped. Dalvin Tomlinson was brought in. Siaka Ika was drafted. Shelby Harris came in late because everybody's thinking, okay, well, we need that other guy because we know we have Dalvin Tomlinson. We know that he's good, but we were so unsure about Jordan Elliott, and we thought that, and I don't know how you guys thought about it, but I remember watching the preseason games and I'm thinking to myself, I go, okay, obviously it's just because of Shelby Harris's late arrival. That's the reason why, that Jordan Elliott is getting these snaps. But he really, I feel like the Browns put his back against the wall and he fought his way out and proved that he not only earns a spot on this team, but he earns a spot in the starting lineup. So I definitely agree with you, Jacob. That was, yeah.
All right, you can say it now.
Okay. So my most improved is a guy that I know Jacob absolutely loves coming out of the draft, Alex Wright. I mean, it's my because I remember and it was what like a year ago, 2 years ago that I was on this show and we were doing our mock drafts and we both had Alex Wright, because we both fell in love with his size and his length, and he gets drafted and okay, he's not going to get that much playing time, and then Miles goes down, and then we have the whole Clowney fiasco, so he gets kind of thrown into the fire. And Alex Wright, what a lot of people don't know is that Alex Wright was one of those hybrid players in college. He wasn't like a firm defensive end. He wasn't a firm 3 technique. So he's still kind of figuring it out. And I don't think he played high school ball. Did he? Not until his junior year?
Not much. And then when he gets to UAB, he gets to UAB at like 215 pounds. He came into the NFL at 270.
Yeah.
Like
So and he gets one of the worst PFF grades by a defender last year, against the Falcons game. And I mean, so just to put in perspective, Isaiah Rochelle jumped up, did a 360, and then got choke slammed by an offensive lineman, but he still graded out better than Alex Wright. So you have that pretty bad performance. It was a pretty bad rookie year, but everybody's kind of sitting there and be like, he's still a ball of clay. He can still prove something. And in limited snaps this year, he's already got 4 sacks. And what won't show up on the stat sheet is his play recognition. And I bring this up whenever I talk about Alex Wright. The Browns, one of their worst problems on defense this year is just they're over aggressive, which, they're a good defense. They fly to the football. So they've had problems with jet sweeps, with counters, with read options. But in that Bears game, he saw it. They already got fooled twice on that jet sweep. He saw it coming for a third time, stopped it. It was either a third or a fourth down. Pretty big stop in that game, got the ball back for us. So, most improved Alex Wright, without a doubt. I think that he's going to be a great interchangeable player with Ogbo next year. And what I love about him is that now that we have depth at defensive end and we can move guys around, we can play Alex Wright inside. We can play him in that 3 technique that he was, that's what made him a good player in college.
Yeah.
So for him to be able to play inside and show his true ability there, as a pass rusher with very long arms, it's just really great to see. Really good story there with Alex Wright.
Well, you sandbagging sons of bitches took both players that I had on my list, and you forced my hand, so now I'm going to do this. It's Kevin Stefanski.
Ooh.
Kevin Stefanski this offseason had to make some hard decisions, had to fire some friends, had to make some tough-ass calls, and he did it. And if he would have just stayed status quo and just been, kept rowing in that same direction, we're not where we're at right now.
That's true.
So he had to do that. And what else has he done? He's come out of his shell. He's shown more emotion. He's more in touch with these players, and these players are just echoing his sentiments every time you hear them get on a microphone. You know what I mean? He definitely took a step up as a coach, in my opinion, not just as a play caller, but as a coach, as a head coach, as a CEO of a football team. Everyone's in lockstep. You know what I mean? And it's just I gotta go Stefanski on this, man, and I think he's going to earn this Coach of the Year award. And that's 2 in 4 years, man. That's super impressive.
2 playoff bursts in 4 years too.
Yeah. 2 11-win seasons in 4 years too.
Could be a 12.
Yeah. Could be a 12. Yeah. No, it's like, listen, there are some butthurt Bengals fans on a lot of there is a lot of butthurt going on around there. But let me tell you something. I haven't done anything. I haven't said anything. We beat them on Sunday. I'm burning this motherfucker to the ground.
Quote.
I was giving the business yesterday.
Oh, I know. I watched. I enjoyed. I was like,
They
but
were
I was
not
I was
ready.
like, hold.
They were not ready to not make
Hold.
the playoffs this year. They had no. Oh my, they are not handling that well. Which I get, right? Because you enter a season with Joe Burrow, you got high hopes. I understand that, but I mean, sometimes you got to accept reality, and not all backup quarterbacks are Joe Flacco. So,
Josh is. Oh well, we got 2 Josh comments here. Josh is. He's checking out. He's yelling to Max.
Shout out.
Little.
What's up, Josh?
Shout out over there, and then other Josh wants Corey Bajorquez.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's been.
I mean, especially for a guy that got a lot of flack. I thought one of the craziest debates in all of Brown's Twitter was blaming Corey Bajorquez for New York missing field goals.
Holdergate.
Yeah.
I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was to the point to where Dave Zastudil, of all people, had to come out and defend him. It wasn't bad enough that former Pro Bowl kicker Jay Feely came out and defended him.
Like,
Dave Zastudil had to come out and defend him. So I'm
University
very happy
legend.
for Corey.
They had Zastudil on 92.3, and he did a step-by-step breakdown of Corey's holding to conclude that there was nothing wrong with it. That's some intense conspiracy theory stuff to justify our kicker struggling, man. Sometimes maybe you just missed. Maybe you missed.
Whenever I owe that man an apology, okay? I'm just gonna say it flat out.
Yeah.
I thought he got the shit end of the stick last year for kicks that he wasn't even he wasn't the one making the kicks. He was just the holder,
Which
he wasn't the one missing the field goals.
Yeah, he didn't do shit.
In the vein of debunking things,
I love
one of my biggest irritations was this conspiracy theory. To your point, Casey, about Kevin Stefanski, there was this theory that goes around about Kevin Stefanski. Oh well, his offense isn't designed for a wide receiver one, and Stephon Diggs' production was not good with Kevin Stefanski, so there can't be an Odell Beckham. He didn't have his stats, so Kevin Stefanski's offense doesn't feature a wide receiver one, and oh man, the takes that went around this summer were wild, and I'm so glad that we have overcome them. Because
I'm so glad that I didn't delete Twitter because it is. Hey, what about that Jason?
I'll never delete that app.
Hey, what about that Jason Whitlock shit last night?
Oh, that was awesome.
Did you see the thing that he posted today? And it's like, bro, it's January. You were horny.
The community notes got him. That was the best part. It wasn't even the quote tweets. It was Twitter came out, put community notes, and said, "Hey, you realize that ads are targeted, right? It's because you're what you're seeing on the internet."
Okay, Nick.
Awesome.
Let's get this
Most
show
improved
going
player. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times most improved players thought of as somebody going from bad to good or bad to serviceable. But in this case, I'm going to go from good to dominant. My most improved player is David Njoku. This is a guy I posted about him today, who I have all the stats here, who his 81 receptions are 4th among all tight ends, 882 yards, 5th among tight ends, touchdowns, 6, that's 2nd. And Yak, a staggering 599 of his 882 yards are coming after the catch. That is bizarro world, unreal stuff. Because David Njoku and Yak is in the top 5 of the NFL. There's the tight ends are non-existent up in that tier. You've got the elite of the elite players. I was looking at it's like Breece Hall and Justin Jefferson and Puka Nacua, and there's David Njoku hanging out with those names.
Do you want something else?
Yes.
Since week 14, only one pass catcher, not tight end, has more yardage than David Njoku.
We have seen David. I remember last year against the Steelers specifically, there were a couple drives. It's this is a David Njoku drive. They throw to him a couple times in a row. He helps them get down the field. They score. And it's it used to be there could be David Njoku drives. Now there's David Njoku games. right? Like that's the dude that's taking you in the field goal range against the Bears, breaking off one when you desperately need it. That's the dude that's got 130 receiving yards in the first quarter that says, no, we're clinching a playoff berth tonight. And when we're done, I'm going to go into the stands, pick up a random beer can and just see what little droplets I can get out. And then take shots with fans.
He's taking shots, I
mean, this is a guy who has ascended to be what I think he could be the face of the Browns offense. And if you told me David Njoku is the face of the Browns offense in 2024, I would not argue that one bit. We've seen this guy go to just this tier that if you expanded what Njoku's done since week 14 for a whole season, those are staggering, unreal tight end numbers that are I can't even imagine. The sky is the limit for him. He's only 27 years old. We've seen him turn the corner, and I have not forgotten. I've been pulling out a ton of receipts. All the David Njoku's overpaid, and they never should have signed him receipts. Those are coming too.
Oh, I've got them, including the founder of Over the Cap, who said they were stupid as soon as it was signed. Don't you think I don't have it, Jason? Because I'm coming for you. I've got it. Locked and loaded and ready to go.
Okay.
All right. Next Step Award. Martin Emerson. Where's that? There. Martin Emerson. Martin Emerson is my winner for the Next Step Award because, damn. It's you understood the drafting of Martin Emerson had a lot to do with the injury history of your top two corners. Well, that and it's a passing league. I think defenses are adjusting. We're seeing that this year. That defenses are finally trying to get a handle on some of these prolific passing offenses by doing this thing. There are so many teams that have 2 to 3 very high quality corners on their rosters now, and they're like, we understand this is just where the NFL is, and you know you paid Denzel Ward, understanding that he's probably 12, 14 games a year, probably something like that. He'll miss 3 or 4 games a year. We got that this week. We've already had that this year and missed some games and that sort of thing. But you drafted him in that situation, and he has been put in situations this year where he's been the guy. I mean, Greg Newsome has struggled at times. He's been hurt. You've seen Mike Ford out there. You've got Cam Mitchell. You're doing things like that. And the thing that has been consistent every single week in the defensive backfield, despite injuries all across, have been Martin Emerson being that guy. Oh. They did not like that. Your headphones did not like that. They were angry. They yelled at me.
I think we're good.
I think he's good. Uh-oh. No. Are they good? Can you hear me? No. I see he's sounding all kinds of shit. I don't know what's going on. He's getting me. Yeah, no, he knows. He's good. He'll figure it out. But yeah, man, it's Martin Emerson for me, hands down. He's just, I kept saying at the beginning of the year, we need to put some respect on my man's damn name. And the respect is being put on Martin Emerson's name. And he is not afraid of anyone. Like fast, physical, elusive. He's not this freak athlete. He's a very good athlete. But, he's not like David Njoku at corner. But he's not afraid if he goes up against a David Njoku. Like, I think he would cover Njoku. Like, he's gone up with Metcalf. He's gone up with the smaller guys. Like, Martin Emerson thinks he's the best player when he steps on the field, and his play is reflecting it. And when you talk about a guy ascending, this is what you talk about. Like, he was good last year. He's great this year. And so for me, it's Martin Emerson, and it's why I got an Emerson jersey for Christmas. So
love it.
We'll go back to you, Mac.
So my next step is David Njoku. Now, I'm not going to argue that he took the next step. I'm going to say the team gave him the keys to go the next step. Because, I mean, anybody that's been following me closely, back when my old blog days, when I created the Cleveland Stampede, I put out an article that when they paid Njoku, he needed to be made tight end 1. It was a travesty what they did with David Njoku in 2021 because they were giving his targets to Austin Hooper, a guy who, for whatever reason, was just dropping like the most catchable passes. I mean, we
just fell down.
His body was dropping.
The Browns fan base gives David Njoku so much flack for his dropped passes, as if we didn't deal with that with Austin Hooper, and he didn't even have 1/4 of the athletic ability, let alone the coordination that Njoku has. Looking at it, it's I really feel like until this year, Njoku has been target starved. 2018, so beside this year, 2018 was David Njoku's best year in terms of yards, in terms of touchdowns. He only got 88 targets. He did not surpass 88 targets in a season until this year. And even when the season started out, he wasn't really featured that much in the offense. It was Coop and then heavy targets to Elijah Moore. Not saying that that wasn't justified, but you have to get your star players the football. And then came the incident, right, where he had a very scary situation to where he literally caught on fire. Played through. I don't even like in terms of like medical. I'm not sure what degree burns, but it's bad enough to where it looks bad, and everybody knows that it's very painful. I mean, you're like he said, you're feeling every drip of sweat. You're feeling every hit. Like it's. I mean, he's just a warrior, and they're finally giving him the targets, that he deserves, and he's showing you that he is a top 5 tight end in the NFL. I mean, we want to talk about his yak. Here's how much he separated himself in terms of yak with NFL tight ends. The next closest one is 108 yards away. That's how much yak David Njoku is, and he's not just a tiny, small, shallow catch, and then, he's taking it 20, 30 yards. He's also 4th among tight ends in contested catches. Yeah. So he's catching these in traffic. He's making the difficult catches. And it's just flat out great to see because he's finally getting that recognition that he's been deserving, and he's finally getting the targets that he's deserving, because I don't know how many times that I've sat here in 2021 and 2022, and I'm just thinking, I was like, why don't we get David Njoku the football? Like we're talking about how we're either injury ridden at wide receiver or we don't have enough targets for our quarterback. Well, you got a 6'4" tight end that runs like a Clydesdale.
Yeah.
And you're not tackling him with one person.
No.
I mean, there's a reason why he has the most forced missed tackles out of any tight end in the National Football League, because he's too fast and people can't bring him down with just one guy. So
the craziest part of that is I was listening to the OBR the other day, and they were breaking down where David Njoku was targeted on the field. The vast majority of his targets are 10 yards and less down the field. He's just getting to the point, and maybe it's because of the blocking situation and that type of thing. But when they actually start targeting David Njoku further down the field more often, I mean, the sky's the limit. Oh, and you know what? You made me think of something, Mac. Is there a greater disparity between the yak Austin Hooper was getting for the Browns, Mr. Catch and Fall Down, and what David Njoku is doing right now?
I'll let you go, Jacob. I just got to say this before I forget. But 2021, I remember the Browns versus Steelers game in Cleveland. It was probably the most heartbreaking loss that I've seen in person. And I remember, oh my God, they were inside the 10-yard line. And here goes Austin Hooper on a little banana route, little 3-yard, flare route. And he has the ball in his hands with his back towards the sideline. Not only does he drop it and it goes through both hands, he falls down.
Yeah.
Browns end up kicking a field goal that drive, and they lost by 3. So
that tracks.
Did you know he's still in the NFL?
Yeah, he's Oh, he's with
Tennessee.
That's what I was going to see if anybody could figure it out. Because I didn't even realize he is. He actually played this past weekend. He has 21 catches this year for like 170 yards.
Killing
But
it.
can you guess? Yeah, no, I know. I was amazed he had any catches. Do you have
I thought it was the Raiders, wasn't it?
He is. He plays for the Raiders, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
All right, Casey, what you got?
This category is so fun because there's so many candidates. The growth of this team, just get like you guys have excellent choices. I'm going to go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Okay.
And he could have also maybe got this last year had they had defensive tackles that could have kept him clean. We didn't get to see that, but we're seeing what it is now when you're able to keep JOK clean. His ability to attack the line of scrimmage, stop tackles. I think he has 21 now on the year. Just be a menace. And what it does, because we've had linebackers in here that rack up tackles. You think of Kirksey, you think of Schobert. Those dudes were constantly tackling people 5-7 yards down the field. JOK's tackles come at the point of attack. He deads things, you know what I mean? And it's you drafted him for this exact reason. That's the reason that they were giddy when he fell to them in the second round, and they traded up in a flurry because they were in disbelief that he could possibly be there. And they didn't even know what to do with him at first. Woods didn't know exactly how to play him. Schwartz has had zero issue with it. He attack. That is the perfect style linebacker for Jim Schwartz. Just attack. You be that X factor. And sky's the limit, man. I mean, I think that I feel that he's definitely a Pro Bowler this year. I don't know if he'll get the All-Pro noms, but I think that that's coming for him. I think that's his future. Just a phenomenal A+ athlete, maximizing his skill set, and we saw a giant leap in the game this year. So JOK for me.
Mac had a great tweet about that today. I saw you were spreading the good word of the stop tackles and the All-Pro conversation.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just pretty crazy seeing what he's doing as an off-the-ball linebacker. He's leading the league in tackles for loss as an off-the-ball linebacker. He's number 1 in run stop percentage among off-ball linebackers with at least 250 snaps, and then he's 6th in run stops in general. Among the off-ball linebackers, and it's just crazy, Casey. To your point, and that was that. And if it wasn't for Isaiah Simmons, JOK would have gone way further up in the draft. But everybody's like, hey, well, where do we put him? What is he really good at? He's a tweener. He's not really a safety, not really a linebacker.
Yeah.
But he put on some muscle this offseason, and I thought that he worked against his worst attribute, which not a lot of people looked into this, but his run fits weren't exactly the greatest last year. Yeah. There was a lot of times where he would try to backdoor plays, and he would get away with it because he's probably the fastest linebacker in the league, or at least the most agile linebacker in the league. So there was a lot of times where he would backdoor plays, and that would lead to the big open parting of the sea of the Joe Woods defense in 2022. So, he's really cleaned that up. Credit to Jim Schwartz there. But it's just his energy and what he brings to the team as well is just amazing to see. And I personally, I don't know what he calls that dance. But when he makes the tackle and he pretends like he's riding a horse, that gets me every time. That hilarious. I love it. And I hope I see more of it.
I am going to go a little bit of a less popular route, I think. My step forward is Jerome Ford. And I say that because last year he had 8 carries for 12 yards. And you said to yourself, is this guy going to be a contributor for the Browns? Did they find somebody that can give them something in the 5th round? And to that, I say yes. I understand. He's averaging 4 yards a carry on the nose. Right now, he's got 201 carries for 807. But I know his vision is questionable at times. I think we've all seen that, and that's an understandable complaint. But in the same breath, I've watched him hit the home run ball multiple times this year. I was there in Indianapolis when he broke that one loose and took it to the end zone. And it's been such an interesting development with Flacco. I think Flacco's first touchdown was a Jerome Ford in the left corner of the end zone. And then you saw that whatever that broken magic was against the Jets, where Ford was just not going to be denied the end zone. And I have loved that, in a year where the Browns offensive line injuries up until the Jets game have really prevented them from being successful running the ball for more than a month now. Jerome Ford has found ways to contribute through receiving, and he's broken a couple. I just think he's given them, and he consistently makes guys miss. He does not always see the whole perfectly, but I think he steps up to a point where you say, yeah, if Jerome Ford's our running back too, do I feel good about that? I think so. I think he's contributing in a variety of ways and has shown enough that he has taken that step forward to say, yeah, Jerome Ford's our running back too. So that's my step forward.
There we go. All right. Okay, let's go back through then. We'll switch it back to you as we go back through, and we will get to the the Never Has to Buy a Beer in Cleveland award. So we'll start with you, Nick.
That's an easy one. It's Joe Flacco, man. The Flacco fever. We've got 15 jerseys everywhere. We got 15 jerseys going to Baltimore for the Ravens Dolphins game over there. I've never seen anything like it. It's just the legend grow. You've got him at the end of the Amazon series with all his kids, his family, just talking. Man, I feel like a kid again in the locker room with the guys. I don't know how he could be more likable. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Joe Flacco right now. He's the hottest quarterback in football, and that dude's not buying any beers for himself.
That is the correct answer. Smoking Joe Flacco is the correct answer. And it's such short order because you think about it, the 17-3 record against the Browns as the Ravens starting quarterback. And it was never all. It wasn't like the way Ben was looked at, but it was very hard for me to wrap my head around we're going to cheer for this guy now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's went from that to this far extreme. It's like he might get a fucking statue. Like we're in rarefied air now. He's the answer. But because he's the answer and it's already been stated, I'm going to throw another player out there.
Yeah.
3-Hop. I think 3-Hop has carved out a niche in the hearts of fans. And just think my blood pressure is way better now that he's our kicker. I know that. I know I was battling stuff when it was Cade. So I think someone like him will always be like, he saved the kicking position. We've been searching since Phil, man. We have been searching. And we finally found this guy, 7th round, scraps from another team. Dude has been straight money. In my mind, he's an all-pro. So I'll throw 3-Hop as my honorable mention. Okay.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off you, Casey, 5 game-winning kicks in a season. We flat out just haven't seen it since Phil Dawson. As a fan, personally, I was fully convinced that there was a curse among Cleveland kickers year after year. The lifespan of a kicker in Cleveland was maybe a season and a quarter, season and a half. You have Anthony Walker, who when he put on the 4 jersey, he was put on IR. And then now you had Deshaun Watson, who gets injured. What number is he wearing? He's wearing number 4. So it's really crazy to see a kicker come in here and do as well as he has. And I will say this because I want to say that he has not done it yet, but he is very close to points scored in a season to beating Jim Brown's record.
He needed 8.
Wasn't it something like that?
I think it's 5.
So
no, going into that game, into the Texans game, he needed 8 and he got 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just hope that we see him this week, at least, just break the record, man. Put your banner in the rafters because he absolutely deserves it. A 7th round pick to come in here and he did not at all deserve the flack that he got because everybody's like, oh, well, you drafted a kicker and then you cut him and then you traded for another kicker. So obviously he's going to stink. He just lost the kicking battle to, Dicker the kicker over there in Los Angeles. But
Dicker hasn't missed this year, just so we're clear.
Well, yeah, no, he was absolutely no slouch. And that just goes to show you how good that Dustin Hopkins was, is that the kid that dethroned him is just as automatic. So he should never have to. If you see that guy with a scruffy, brown orangish beard out there, buy him a beer, please. Dustin Hopkins.
Love it.
I'm like, Joe Flacco was my answer, obviously. So, but I wanted to try to
spread the love.
I was trying to spread the love, and I was trying to think about it, and I'm just kind of like, the only one that I can kind of think of is kind of Grant Delpit.
Okay.
I kind of think the way Grant Delpit kind of embraced everything this year, it's just like he took a step. He's not on any of my other awards. I don't know. Like Delpit, when you re-sign during a season, I think that's really cool. I think it's one thing during the offseason when you have the chance to talk to, because he would have been a free agent. He would have been a free agent after this season. It was the final year of his fourth year of his rookie contract. He was going to be up, and it sucks that he goes down. But how many plays has he made this year? How many plays do you think back and you're like, yeah, man, that was, Grant Delpit was there. He's missed. Ronnie Hickman steps in and somehow is hey, by the way, I'll take care of it until he gets back. But he, to me, is just that kind of guy that he brings a lunch pail attitude, maybe. I think he relates to some of the, people relate to kind of the type of worker and player and stuff that he is. And I think Grant Delpit is very swell.
I don't know if he still is, but he was the Browns' leading tackler when he went down.
Correct.
For coming from your safety, I mean, that's a hell of a statement.
2 years in a row, wasn't he? I think he was.
And you only see that from bottom 10 defenses, not the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Usually when you have a top 5 defense, you're one of your linebackers, or you have a premier edge rusher that's leading the team in tackles. No, your safety is. And that, like you said, that just speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Delpit was almost my answer for a few things, including next step. He was another guy that took a giant leap this year. But it just hit me with another guy that I would love to buy a beer for, and that's Jim Schwartz.
Ooh.
Talking about Delpit and the leap he's made. And,
that's a great
I think if I ever seen Jim Schwartz at a bar, it's on me, my man.
He's out drinking all of us. There's no way he's not out drinking all of us. And I went to OU, okay? So, he probably out drink Andy Manchin, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah.
I have watched.
That's tough.
That is tough.
Yeah.
I experienced a super Andy Manchin weekend, and he is a machine. That's all.
He's a magician. He's a magician. I'm just fully convinced that he doesn't actually drink them. They're just magic tricks. Because there's just no way. I mean, I physically see that him drinking it, but it's just I'm fully convinced that it's magic, it's witchcraft, it's something other than consuming. Because I can't believe it.
Did you see the video? It was last year, maybe it might have been the year before, where he made a video doing Edward 40 hands, and he was like, "You got to get these cut off. He's like, I gotta take a shit," and he's got these, and they're taped to his hands, and he drinks them both, and then the guy's like, "Oh, let me cut it off." He goes, "Don't worry about it. I already shit my pants." It's like an underrated Andy Manchin video because they're all fantastic.
They are.
Oh, dude, it's gold.
And he's as skinny as a rail.
I don't know where he puts it. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think that he's a magician.
Yeah,
and
great.
And it's not like he's peeing the whole time. It stays. It's got to be. It's got to be. Let's do this. We're going. This has been it's been an hour. We are just.
This is what fun Browns teams are about, man. We can just gush about. Can we talk for another hour? I think so.
Well, I can't because
but you know what I mean. Obviously.
I could. All right. So what we'll do, I'll start this last one. We'll go to Mac and we'll go all the way around. Let's do offense and defensive MVP together. We'll just you give both of them, go through them. I tried to, for both of these, one thing that I tried to do is I tried to put players that I had not put in other categories. You can put them, if you want to reuse somebody, I don't really care. Offensive MVP, I just went with Mr. Consistent. I went with Amari Cooper because Amari Cooper to me is he is like Brandon Cooks is a good example of it, but Amari Cooper is quarterback proof. It does not matter. He will get you 11. Now he's got a career high and finally broke 1,200 yards, but he's traditionally been like, I'll get you 1,100 yards. I don't care who's throwing the ball. I'll get you 1,100 yards. I mean, he performs with PJ Walker when PJ Walker played. He would helped out DTR, played well with. Of course, he's really thriving now with Joe Flacco, but played well with all four quarterbacks. All four quarterbacks understood that Amari Cooper is Mr. Consistent. He will be where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there, and he will make the play 9 times out of 10. He has a few ceremoniously uncharacter. He has these, like, when you watch some of the catches he makes, some of the drops that he has can be frustrating a little bit because you're like, wow, that was an easy one. But, like, you'll take that because he'll make amazing plays. He'll set the franchise record with the 4th quarterback of the year and go 11 for 265. Injured, by the way.
Yeah.
Before he hit that record.
Yeah.
That heel that then kept him out of a game. He had, I think it was before he had 3 or 4. He had like 3 or 4 more catches after the injury actually occurred. And it might have even actually have been earlier. But,
I mean, it's the same injury that bothered him last year when he took it to the house against Washington. Like, yeah. It's insane because you can see him pull up, and it was that bomb in Houston where he made the contested catch, he broke the tackle, and then he took it to the house. You can see him pull up, like that he's not 100%, but yet he had the greatest game as a wide receiver in Cleveland Browns history. I mean, he goes on the best 3-game stretch of his career with 22 receptions, 451 yards, and 3 TDs. He's just never accumulated like that many catches and yards in a 3-game span. So,
Zeke, we will pray for you when your wife finds out that you bought a Fanatics jersey, Joe Flacco Fanatics jersey. We will keep you in our thoughts and our prayers because been there, done that.
Earplugs, my friend. Earplugs. Get yourself some earplugs too. So then that way, when you get yelled at, you can't hear it.
You're like, what? Actually, when I'm under the playoffs, who said that?
I feel like is this a show stance? Coop, our offensive MVP. Is this a show stance?
Casey.
I'll monkey wrench it every time. I'll go Joe Flacco just to be on my own side.
All right.
Just to battle against you guys. And no, Coop was my first name I wrote down. I mean, you can set your clock by him. You know what I mean? He's that dude. Yeah. But I'll throw it in for Joe. And who knows? This season could have went so many damn different ways. And the direction that it's taken since Flacco's been under center is we're the house money team in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. Like nobody wants to play us, man, because if you lose to us, you're losing to a team who's went through 4 quarterbacks, and we can beat you, man. We have a guy out there slinging it as well as anybody in the league. He knows, 38-year-old, and I don't call him a journeyman because I don't want to. But let's be real, he hasn't been a full-time starter since 2018. Yeah, you know what I mean? And just to catch fire at this moment is, it's. There's nothing bad I can say about the situation we got going on now with Joe Flacco. And if you'd have told me that before the season, I'd have called you a damn liar. You know what I mean?
Sign Dalvin Cook.
I just got to add, I think I love Amari Cooper. I love what he's done for this. The wide receiving room isn't the receiving room without Amari Cooper because the Marquise Goodwin was concussed for a lot of weeks. Elijah Moore kind of struggled to find his way. So, I got to give Amari his props for that. But to all of our points here that we've made already, it's like the offense has literally been Joe Flacco for the last month plus, right? So it's like, how can he not be the most valuable player? Because they cannot, up until they could not run the ball. There was zero success there. And so without Flacco and carrying like he has, the Browns are the season's done. Let's be honest. And so I think, you know what, Casey? I think I'm jumping on the bandwagon with you. I'm giving it to Joe Flacco because I have never seen a Browns quarterback carry an offense like Joe Flacco has done this year. Never.
Does it remind you of Favre in Minnesota? Am I the only one that gets that kind of vibe? Old gunslinger, playing for a rival team, last second moments. Yeah,
great point.
Last second moments throw. I mean, I feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
Kind of does.
Man.
That's a good point.
Yeah. No,
well, except Joe Flacco knows how to read a defense, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that NFC Championship game. Packers, Vikings, Saints, and Favre got them so close to the Super Bowl, and he threw that ball across his body, and he got picked off. And the Saints, I believe that's the year the Saints went and won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
It was.
And then the last moment I'll ever remember of Brett Favre was his head getting bounced off of Lambeau Field on a frozen Monday. He bounced his head off it, and it was just like, you were like, yeah, man, you got to get out of there, bro. You're going to die if you
you're going to die. You're going to straight up die.
For me, defensively, it's JOK.
Ooh.
My defensive MVP is JOK because there was this weird thing where some of his snap counts were kind of low in the middle of the season, and people were like, see, they're telling you they don't like JOK. 2 weeks ago, JOK was your green dot.
Yep.
And honestly, we've said what we've said about him, but that's what I'm going to say. Jim Schwartz, in a very important, imperative situation, handed it over to JOK and was like, listen, it's a big game against Houston. I understand they were banged up, but they needed that win. That win gave them a win-and-in scenario this past week. And they gave it away to JOK. And this was a guy that Harvard, your linebacker coach, was saying, he wasn't mincing words. He was saying he needs to come back to us bigger. He said that after OTAs. Yeah. He was like, he's not playing like that. Well, guess what? He said, bet. And he went out. He put on the weight. He's wearing some badass outfits every game he comes in there. They're freaking sweet. That's like, he spends a lot of time, on that. And it's just, for me, it's like, Miles is my team MVP, so I don't have him in this award. But to me, I think JOK is the glue that brings that great secondary and that great defensive line and just puts them together. And it's because the secondary does the covering, and don't get me wrong, JOK does some good covering, and the defensive line eats up and tears up the offensive line, and JOK is just like, oh, so I don't have guards blocking me at the second level because my defensive tackles aren't getting shoved into my lap. Okay. All right. So, yeah. All right. We'll go to EMAC, and we'll go the rest of the way around the corner on defensive MVP as we wrap this thing up.
So I haven't said his name yet, so I kind of have to at this point, Myles Garrett. He is that guy, and, I really thought if he didn't re-aggravate his shoulder injury from last year, I really do think that he would be top of the sack list. Now, granted, the games that he had where it was a drought, still a lot of pressures, still affecting the game, still being a great run defender. And it's just kind of crazy because this defense would not be where they're at without Myles Garrett. This defense would have not shut out the Bengals, very first game of the season without Myles Garrett. The Browns would have not won the game against the Indianapolis Colts without that defensive touchdown caused by who? Myles Garrett. So it's just, it starts with him up front, and I'm so glad that they finally built around him. They gave him some other pieces so that way he's not being constantly double teamed and triple teamed. Now he still kind of has to fight because every single offense coordinator is going to game plan against him, right? They're not going to game plan against the other guy. So, he's just fought through a lot of stuff. He's their defensive captain. And, the league is starting to notice he is the favorite to win the defensive player of the year. So, it's kind of hard to give your defensive MVP to anyone else, but JOK is definitely deserving. But again, it all starts with Myles Garrett.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with Mac. I haven't said his name yet, and that's the reason. Just to build on what you said, I don't think there's another player in the league that occupies as much space in offensive coordinators' heads as Myles Garrett. Like they spend so much time. Yeah, for sure. They just opposing teams have to spend so much time just prepping for the storm to come. And it's evident when you see everything they throw at him, and it doesn't slow him down. He's still speeding up the quarterback's clock. He's and you can throw whatever you want at him, and he's built for it. You know what I mean? He's that one guy, and just dominant. And he's dominant to the point now where people are looking past sacks just because he's so dominant.
Finally.
Because of all the resources allocated to try to stop that man, and he's still getting double-digit pressures every single game. And he's the heartbeat. And as long as you have him, you have a shot. I think that's the defense is built from the inside out. And they have phenomenal secondary. They have speedy linebackers, but it all starts with 95. So that's my defensive MVP.
I don't think I can deviate. And somebody just posted the highlight of him blocking that kick where he just soars across, like right across the center line. And I've never seen Myles do something like that. And I
from
just
a 3-point stance. From a 3-point stance.
How is that a thing? I think Myles has
Built
truly
different.
He's leveled up this year, right? Like he took over that Indianapolis game. He scored. I think it was he sacked Gardner and they scored the touchdown in the end zone. Blocked that kick. It's just and I am Mac, to your point and Casey, yours. I do think, man, if he doesn't re-aggravate that shoulder injury, but that's neither here nor there. Like he did that, and he's still the defensive MVP, which is probably even a larger credit to him. He affects the game in so many ways. He's still, I feel like he's still improving. And that's crazy to me. And I love that he's finally getting that respect because he deserves it. Every play he affects it. Just the way that I've seen so many quarterbacks this year get truly rattled. And I think, Jacob, you brought up the Cincy game. When you can rattle Joe Burrow, man, like one of the game's best like that, and just the ability to do that to even the best quarterbacks you play starts with Myles Garrett and getting in your face as much as you do. So I have to give it to Myles.
Yeah, I think we successfully went through here. I think some really great conversation, and I'm zoning out. It's been a long day. I was like, oh my God, what did he say? Is he talking to me? When you're like I was kind of listening, but like I don't know.
So with that, just Mac, thanks for joining us, man. If you want to tell the people where to find you.
So, of course, you can find me on Twitter at @the_Buffalo. It's the same for all my handles, Instagram and TikTok. Trying to fire that up again. So we'll see where that goes. But guys, I appreciate you having me on. Jacob, again, thank you. Not a lot of people know this, but part of the reason why I joined Dog Pound Daily was because of Jacob's recommendation. So I cannot thank you enough for that. It's been an amazing experience, and I can't wait because it's only up from here, fellas, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's my content, your content, the Browns in general, it's only up from here. And like I said earlier, the Browns aren't the team that lucked into the playoffs. They can win and go on a run, and I'm just beyond excited to see it. This is a year like no other.
Yeah, I'm chills.
Okay.
I'm like, what?
With that said, this has been episode 135. Where do the episodes go of the Barking Brown Show? I'm Nick. He's Jacob. That's Mac. He's Casey. Go Browns.
That's my Charmander.
Let's go.